What's up, Taiwan? How's it going? I'm Ethan Liu with 10 minutes of news from here in Taiwan and around the world. Taiwan has launched an initiative to support Taiwanese food producers impacted by China's recent economic sanctions. Over the past few weeks, Beijing has slapped sanctions on food items and other agricultural products. The punitive economic actions were in response to U.S. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi's visit to Taiwan earlier this month. But economists say that China's sanctions package is likely to have a minimal impact on Taiwan's economy, as recent research by Natixis Economics shows that the Taiwanese food products hit by Chinese sanctions account for just 0.2% of its total global exports. For more on the Chinese sanctions on Taiwan, our reporter James Chater spoke to Gary An on Natixis Research in Hong Kong.
Outline for us the key components of China's economic sanctions package against Taiwan in the aftermath of Pelosi's visit.
The most important one is probably like the ban of certain licenses for Taiwanese firms to actually export into China. And according to our calculation, 65% of these licenses basically are temporarily halted. So if we just make a rough calculation, assuming basically all of these licenses account for 65% of total food export from Taiwan into China, then that will be 0.2% of Taiwanese export. So it is definitely not too like a number that is too huge. So basically, the sanctions are mainly focused on food export and also a natural sand import from the Taiwan perspective, and the scale is not really very big.
China had weeks to prepare this response after news of Pelosi's visits leaks ahead of time, and yet the overall impact seems relatively small. What do you think was the logic behind the Chinese economic sanctions that we eventually saw?
It seems to me that because of the quite minor impact of this economic sanction, it seems the status quo seems to be still most desirable for everyone, especially if we look deeper into what the sanctions are about. It is really picking the products that is like the least painful for China itself, and it would exert some pain on Taiwan from a certain sector perspective, such as in the food, agricultural, or basically the food production sectors. And most importantly, the overall damage seems to be quite controllable, especially to the global supply chain, which basically means that semiconductor is left untouched. And this is really the most important factor that maybe many stakeholders from, let's say, from US or from Europe or China, and even for Taiwan itself, would be the most focusing on.
What is it that we can learn from these sanctions about how China would seek to apply pressure economically on Taiwan going ahead?
After all, in international relationship, this is still about the calculation of different interests, which is also the cost and benefit. But of course, what Beijing has put on Taipei right now definitely is not the full capacity that it would be able to do. So I think for Taiwan, definitely the pressure will be tougher, but the best it can do is, of course, try to maintain its comparative advantage, try to be relevant to any economies in the world, and especially also for China, which basically means that the status quo will probably be the most beneficial for all stakeholders in the short run.
Taiwan is nearing 5 million confirmed cases of COVID-19 since the pandemic began, and experts now say that up to 500,000 people could have so-called long COVID. It is a term that refers to a variety of symptoms that persist for months after recovering from the illness. Doctors say that many people in Taiwan are seeking additional medical treatment within 6 months of testing positive, often for respiratory complaints, which could be a sign of long COVID. It is the Hungry Ghost Festival here in Taiwan this month. If the ghosts are roaming the earth right now, what kind of situation are they trying to escape from in the underworld? Well, there's a temple in central Taiwan that has life-size dioramas showing you all the gory details. Recently, TaiwanPlus's Andrew Ryan mustered up the courage for a trip to Changhua County's Nantian Temple to see it for himself.
Look at that brave face. That's me walking up the steps of Nantian Temple, slightly surprised that hell is located upstairs and not in the basement. This exhibit is called the 18 Levels of Hell. Now, if you've ever wondered if you do something bad in this lifetime, what might happen in the next lifetime, well, look no further. I hear there's some answers inside. I barely get inside the door, and this happens. Oh, the bridge collapses with a pneumatic burst. I'm not sure I'm fully prepared for what's inside, but here goes nothing. Oh my God. I turn a corner and life-size displays of ancient torture spring to life before my eyes. It's like a theme park. A very gruesome one. But unlike a theme park, there are no long lines. The staff say that's not because of Ghost Month. It's empty year-round. Ugh. At each exhibit, there are lists of earthly sins, like, say, gossiping. Those are matched up with dioramas showing the Taoist version of an appropriate punishment. For example, if you instigate a murder, when you arrive in hell, you can expect to be dipped in a vat of bubbling oil. These displays were created about a half a century ago, so they're not lifelike enough to be terrifying. But my camera crew is not exactly complaining when it's time to go. Now, the animatronics make it pretty kitschy. However, I have to admit, I find it kind of creepy. I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of parents bring their kids here to give them a bit of a scare. Before we leave, a quick check-in with the resident deities. I'm not necessarily a believer, but better safe than sorry. Kama Shu, Alex Chen, Peachy Drong, and Andrew Ryan for TaiwanPlus.
For more places of interest in Changhua County, join us at 3:30 p.m. today for the latest edition of Where's the County Chief Taking Us? We'll show you how the county is hoping to become an international travel destination. And hailing from Japan, Zenji spent 10 years honing his skills as a barista. His efforts paid off, and he's now in charge of a new cafe here in Taiwan. We take a look at his journey and what he has learned along the way.
東京で大学に通っている時は人見知りで恥ずかしがり屋で未来のこととかは全然全く分かりませんでした。大学生と同じようにアルバイトを探す時にコーヒーに憧れがあって僕はスタバに入りました。あの時よく話すコーヒー好きな常連さんがいて、そのコーヒー好きな常連さんの家でコーヒーも飲みました。その常連さんは4年後に一緒に働く社長の大塚智之さんです。
1軒目のサルタヒココーヒーを作った時は10坪ぐらいの小さいお店だったんですけど、善治が働かせてって来てくれたんですけど、赤字経営だったからごめんって給料払えないからって断りました。でもその善治がですね、給料なくてもやりたいと言ったので、その時は本当にお金がないから、とにかく夜にですねみんなで集まって朝までコーヒーを勉強して、みんなでコーヒー一生懸命こう入れてですねやってました。僕ら疲れてる時でもこう見送りして、お客さんがそれでなんか満足な表情を見せてくれると、僕たちやってること間違えてないんだと、でなんかこう決意できて、もっともっとそれが広がるように願うことを見てもらいたいですね。
本当に厳しかったんですけど、毎日充実してます。だんだんお店もうまくいってきて、夢だった海外でもオープンすることができて、僕も今台湾にいてコンサルタントとしてお店をサポートしてどうやったら幸せを人に届けるかを探してて、最初は実現方法が分からなくて一生懸命仕事をしました。台湾に来て台湾の皆様に日本のスペシャリティコーヒーの美味しさを知ってもらいたくて、あとは素晴らしいサービスも届けたいと思っていました。10年間コーヒーを続けて台湾に来てやっと分かったのは、目の前のことを全力でやることが人に幸せを届けて笑顔を与えられることだと思っています。
Thank you for watching What's Up Taiwan. Remember to download the TaiwanPlus app for more stories from Taiwan and around the world. Finally, we leave you with images of St. Roch's Day in Bolivia, celebrating the patron saint of dogs. During the festivities, owners bring their dogs to attend Mass and be blessed with holy water. I'm Ethan Liu, take care, and I'll see you next time.